7 crispy coatings for fried chicken, fried tofu, anything that you want to fry. Who doesn't like options? So we have the ingredients together to make the batter. Let's go ahead and get them all mixed up and move on to finding out what these 7 crispy coatings are. The process of breading is super simple because the batter itself is thicker. There's no need to apply it into flour first and then into egg or some other sticky alternative. Because of this batter, we can just apply the tofu into that and then we can put it into our coatings and move into cooking it. the tofu is going to cook for about 10 minutes in the fryer-lator. That's what's great about using a fryer-lator is you just drop it in there, watch your time, and you're good to go. Make sure that's golden and crispy. That's it. So trying out all 7 of these different crispy coatings, it was a lot of fun. It was great. And it's interesting seeing the different flavor profiles. Now, using the flaky items like the fresh bread, the cornflakes, and the chips, those were 3 great options. They had different components of flavor. You had some of the corn coming through on the cornflakes. The fresh bread was super crunchy, and the potato chip kind of brought this potato chip flavor that kind of lingered at the end, and so it was really great. However, in the sense of being able to stick and fully cover the tofu, they all 3 lacked in that portion. So in that sense, those 3, they can't be my top choice because they didn't add that natural looking crispy chicken, crispy tofu that I was looking for and expected to see. The panko breadcrumbs, it did a great job of cooking and covering the entire piece of tofu, and it looked great. That was awesome. However, it brought this lingering, almost seafoody, fishy note in there, and so that automatically becomes my least favorite, because when it comes to all of this, the most important component of all of this is the flavor, and that lost out there. The cracker was fantastic. It added almost a deeper, rich, buttery note because of the cracker itself and the way it kind of took in the oil. It also covered the entire piece of tofu, and it still had a crunchiness, so that looked really great. Plus, The pieces of cracker, there were some smaller pieces and larger pieces, so it added a little bit more texture to the outside look. Then we have the walnuts and we have the regular breadcrumbs. I like both of these, not for chicken or tofu. The walnuts I think was absolutely fantastic. It looked awesome, had great crunch, and it had great flavor. But I think that the walnuts would go much better on like a roast or a red meat. And so that's where I would bring that forward, because that's going to add a whole different level and component to any of that red meat that you cook and use. So I think that the star of this was really just the simple, normal breadcrumbs. It covered the entire piece of tofu. It had crazy amount of crunch. It was by far the crunchiest piece of tofu of all of them. It looked traditional, so it passes that criteria. The flavor was spot on. So I'm going to say regular breadcrumbs is a great option there. Now, none of that would have come to fruition if we didn't use an awesome batter. So keep in mind that whenever you are doing any breading, there needs to be the right emphasis and energy into that batter. Because like I said, the way I chose to do this was simplicity, but also loading in the flavor. So adding in the spiciness, adding in the baking powder to add some fluffiness to that batter, the apple cider vinegar to actually kind of create a reaction with the soy milk, made it almost more like a vegan buttermilk, right? So a lot of different elements coming through with that batter, and using that just made it so simple where it was thick and sticky enough to stick to the item that you're using, and then add in the extra component for that extra crunchiness in these toppings.